there's no going
So you
back.
can do what you wanna do. You already know. You can do what you wanna do.
Hello artists, welcome to day 27. This is Dalene FM and we're going to talk about contrast today, the next in our series of the principles of art. Now, contrast is important from a value point of view, not from a color point of view, and that's what I'm about to demonstrate to you. If you have a look here, what I've prepared is a value scale for various different colors. The middle one is the 100% of the color. Going down the scale gets darker, going up the scale gets lighter. Now you can see that the red and the yellow scales are not complete, and the reason for that is because if you go lighter in red you start getting more pink, and if you go darker in yellow you start getting more orange. So this is the extent to which we can go before the color starts to change. Now for red and yellow that is true, but for the other colors it's not. For purple, blue, green, two different greens, and orange, we can get lighter and lighter and it's still perceptibly the same color. However, like I said, with the red it gets more pink and with the yellow it gets more orange. So it changes color as the hue changes, as the value changes, sorry, it changes color. I'm actually going to desaturate this and create a grayscale version of these value scales, the ones that I've got here in color. I'm going to create their equivalent in grayscale. There we go. Now what this demonstrates to you is, as you can see, if you have a look at the red one, for example, we're getting from roughly 50% down to almost 100% black. But when we go across here to the yellow one, it comes nowhere close. It's much lighter on the value scale. In fact, it's even lighter on the value scale than the control that I've got here. If you have a look, our starting point of the yellow is way up here somewhere. So the yellow part of the spectrum is way lighter in grayscale than the rest of the colors are. The same is true for the orange, maybe not to quite to the same extent. The lighter green is also a lot lighter. So we're looking at contrast here. If you have a look at the blue, the purple, the red, they're very similar. The blue's quite a lot darker, but the rest of them are kind of similar. Now what that does, as far as contrast is concerned, if we go down here, when you're putting two objects together that are of a similar value, not of a similar color, we're talking completely different colors, but they contain a similar value scale, then we're getting an effect where our eyes begin to dance. If you have a look here, the purple on the red, you're getting this shimmering effect. It starts to almost mess with your brain, and it creates a disharmony. The same happens with the blue. It's happening with the green here as well, maybe not quite to the same extent. This lighter green is getting better. The yellow is much better. The mustardy color or the orange is much calmer, although maybe not quite as bright on the red background as what the yellow one might be. But you can see how this shimmering dancing effect that messes with your eyes, tends to reduce. And the reason for that is because the contrast is increasing. Now if we go down here, this is where I've actually desaturated the same exercise. You can see that the contrast values between the purple and the red are much closer together than the contrast values of the green and the red. And that's even improved by the yellow and the red. Here we've got the purple and the red as well, very close together. And this one is actually even worse. We've got very similar values. That's the green and the red. So what this is actually demonstrating is that when we're talking about contrast in art, I want you to cast your mind back to when we did the color and value lesson. Now, as you might have noticed, I spent a lot of time on that color and value lesson. I really went into it in great detail, and this is why we need to understand the difference between color and value. Some colors, although they might be very different colors, have very similar values, as we can see here, for example, the reds and the blues. And other colors have very different values, like here the yellows and possibly a little bit of the oranges. So when we start talking about contrasting colors, we actually need to take into account contrasting values, not necessarily the colors. Because a contrasting color that is close in value, like the red and the purple or the blue and the purple, will create a disharmony in your painting. Whereas the contrasting colors between the lighter green and the red, or the yellow and the red, will create much more harmony in your painting, and that's because their values are so very different. So color and value, not the same thing, and the value of the color must be taken into account when you start doing juxtaposition in your painting. Well, artists, that was a very quick description of what contrast actually is and why colors do and don't necessarily work together. If this little lesson on contrast has made some sense to you and cleared some things up for you, please won't you like it and share it around the internet and invite your friends to join the group. I also just want to draw your attention to the fact that I'm putting all of these on YouTube, so you can at any time go to the YouTube channel and subscribe, and you can get notifications from them. And also, if you saw a video that I put up a couple of days ago asking you to go onto our Facebook page and tick the See First button and the notifications, put all the notifications on. That way you also won't miss any of the lessons. So thank you very much for joining me on day 26, and tomorrow we will see you in day 27 talking about focal points. Thank you so much again, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!
That's what you want to do.